Welcome to You Know What They Slay, a Buffy the Vampire Slayer recap podcast. I'm Gabby.
I'm Dev.
And I'm AM.
We are back after a 2-year hiatus to recap episode 4 of Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
Did anyone write down what it's called? I sure didn't.
No. Oh, it's called Teacher's Pet.
Teacher's Pet, yes.
Pet. A fitting name.
It's called Teacher's Pet, and this is a Xander-based episode. So that's kind of what we get from the first scene as we kind of step into a dream that Xander is having.
Did you guys remember which episode it was at the start?
No, dude. Also, they got me with the dream sequence.
They got me.
I was like, Xander, the first thing I wrote down is Xander with the slowest punches ever. And then right underneath, LOL, they got me. I believed the fantasy.
I started writing,
there with him.
Xander is so cool with this opening line, and then deleted it.
Yeah, you never wrote that. Don't. You're like, who said that? Not me.
I believed it was real until he started punching the vampire, and then I was like, that can't be right.
And Buffy was like swooning very uncharacteristically.
Well, after coming into this, after like a 2-year hiatus and watching Buffy again for the first time, it moved me almost to tears of excitement to see the beginning of every generation there is a chosen one. She is the Slayer, and then opening with a screaming woman and then a vampire growling and Buffy's beating her up. And I was like, oh, this is our girl. This is our hero. And then she started like sexually grunting and like being hit, and I was like, oh yeah, we have to remember, like, she's still young, she's not as good as she is like in season 7 or whatever, like we're still getting used to this. And then I was like, oh, this is Xander's disgusting sexual fantasy where she gets beat up by the vampire and she's thrown back on the pool table, and it's like, I was like, this is like missionary style. So
I think this is true of a lot of male fantasies. It's like part of it is that your girl is getting beat up so that you can save her from another man.
That's so horrific.
Like, don't fantasize about me getting beat up.
Yeah, and then Xander comes in from behind because he like fully comes in. Buffy's like on the table, missionary style. Xander comes in from the guy like behind, like whacks him. So it's very like it's a violent sexual scene, very interesting for Xander to be dreaming about, but you know, that's him.
Well, Xander only continues to have lurid sexual fantasies throughout this entire episode.
Yes.
He's delusional the whole time, and also has this kind of complicated relationship to his own power and the power of the seductress, which we can get into.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So for the next step after the dream, Buffy in the dream is kind of like, Xander, you're dreaming. And then we realize, okay, he's dreaming in science class. And what are they learning about? They're learning about bugs. And I love that learning about bugs is just a big projector screen of like close-ups of insects. And they're just like, yeah, so these are some bugs. They're talking about ants.
They're doing
professor,
Mr.
Dr.
a
Gregory.
multi-week unit on bugs in high school, which is so cool. I would have loved to have that.
That's really sweet of you to think that, because I'm like, oh yeah, only on the Hellmouth would they be like into these creepy shit.
The slide projector was reminding me of how my friend who went to Catholic school, famously, her sex ed unit was like the French teacher or something, showing like really graphic images of advanced STIs on the slide projector. And being like, this is, I don't know, stage 3 syphilis left untreated for generation. You know, just like crazy, crazy shit. Like, end of conversation.
Yeah,
so
like,
I was
which
like,
will happen to you.
Yeah. So that was kind of a beautiful memory to call
It makes
back.
so much sense for it to be the French teacher teaching sex ed. I feel like that should be the case in every school.
I know, the French teacher is like, and it is okay to date when she's 13 if you really love her.
Well, okay, you're bringing up a lot of motifs in this episode too, because the teacher that comes in is named Mrs. French. So, and
I forgot that.
Yeah, I don't want to get ahead of myself, but there's some age gap situation going on. Okay, so then in science class ends. They're talking about ants. Dr. Gregory is the professor. He keeps Buffy after class, and he asks her about her past felonies, such as lighting the gym on fire, which we know. He knows she has a history, and he's kind of psyching her out, like, oh, you're bad, and I have low expectations of you. But he actually thinks she's really smart, and I think that's sweet. So we're kind of warming up to this guy. And he's like, you just need to do your homework, and you'll shine.
I had like forgotten what this whole episode was about at this point, and I'm watching this teacher guy be really kind to Buffy and like understanding and give her a second chance, and was immediately very suspicious of him as like a sexual predator. I'm gonna take it back. He's a good guy.
I mean, when he was like putting his slides away, let me describe what happens. Class ends after he's given Buffy this sort of tough love motivational speech that probably many of us got in high school, which is like, I know that you're better than this if you tried even a little bit.
Not me, I got straight A's.
You could be great. Okay, not Devin. Devin got straight A's. So he's like sitting at one of the lab tables, sort of lovingly looking at his slides of ants and putting them away. And then from behind him, we see a large praying mantis arm sort of creeping out and like going around his body. But before that, when he was lovingly looking at his slides, I was like, oh, this guy's sus. Like, that's a monster.
I had the exact opposite reaction. Oh my God, because I was like, ew, learning about bugs is gross, but like he loves it. So actually it's changing my mind. Like, he's so sweet. And he's looking, I'm like, oh, he's going to be like a father figure to her. Like, he's going to guide her through class. But no, he gets whacked by a giant bug arm that comes out from behind, grabs him by the neck. We see his glasses fall, very moody scene. They're on the floor, they crack. And then we see his feet on the floor. He's done. Very fast.
Also, I do think they were trying to psych us out about him because the first thing he says is pretty sinister. I wrote it down. They're learning about ants, and he says something about how ants were here before us and they'll be here after us. And I was like, oh, this guy's a vampire. Like, he's talking about his team. But he was talking about ants for real.
This is so interesting because you guys are really picking, you're like, I know the show, like this guy's a monster. And I'm like, oh, I kind of know the show, like they're going to make me love this guy and then kill him.
Yeah,
well,
which is true.
Both could be true.
Feminist Josh said not just men can be villains.
Literally.
Turns out women can be villains too.
Yes, King. We always need to give credit where credit is due.
Yeah.
Okay, and then we have the beautiful opening credits rolling by.
Those hit really hard today after not watching Buffy for like 2-year tolerance break.
Yeah, it hit really hard.
Yeah.
We have low tolerance now. I got drunk so fast. Okay, so then the gang is back at the Bronze, and in this scene we have our first angel sighting by Xander and Willow.
I want to insert here that I really fuck with this band at the Bronze.
Same. I wrote down, who is this hot band in all caps? So I looked it up. Did you look it up?
Superfine?
Superfine. And I was like, of course they're called that. I'm sorry, but like they're really hot.
Yeah,
so,
could have guessed.
Yeah, could have guessed. I could have named them that. And the song that they're playing is called Already Met You. And baby blue guitar, front center, just like our producer Ava's guitar.
So true. Whoa.
I thought
gorgeous.
that too. Also, I was wondering if the disdainful look that the guitarist gives Xander was off the cuff or scripted.
Because they had a real band. And Xander's just like, I love this. Yeah, the lead singer and guitarist gives Xander a terrible look. And he's like, it's really earnest to be like dancing up to the stage where this like hot musician is playing with their baby blue guitar and like being like, yeah, we're buddies. Like, I'm making eye contact. I'm like, wow, how brave. Like, he's so cute.
me and all the Cage World shows.
I know. I'm like, same.
That is how I behave.
Yeah. But, okay. And I was also wrote down, like, it's funny that they try and paint Xander as such a nerd because he's actually so cute. Like, he's adorable. Do you not think he's cute?
He is. He's a cutie pie for sure. And I don't think I really felt that on the first watch.
Maybe the singer was like, oh, this kid's gay or something. So maybe it was like a homophobic scene, actually.
Yeah, maybe it was a homophobic scene.
It was probably homophobic.
Yeah, actually, fuck that band.
Okay, so fuck that band.
And Xander's
We're at
really
the
trying hard to
Bronx.
prove that he's not gay, because then he goes back to his like gaggle of boyfriends, and they're all talking about like, oh my god, how many girls like do you guys fuck or something? Like they were just like, oh, how many girls can you get? And Xander's just like, oh, I get so many girls, like I'm such a player. And then he goes over to hug Buffy and Willow, and they're like his little trophies,
His props to pretend that
His
he gets
props.
girls. It's like Xander virginity reveal, as if we didn't know.
I know.
Also, I like call me a prude, but aren't they in high school? I don't know.
No, literally.
Like,
I was like, I hope that they're all virgins. Like,
That's
I
kind
think
of
it
the
would
theme of
be-
this episode is like everybody should be virgin.
yeah.
and they're all just like, oh my god, like what? You're, I don't know what, they're probably 16 at this point.
Mm-hmm.
Literally.
Anyway, it's cool to wait.
It's cool to
Kids
wait.
listening.
I guess they should be shown those pictures of like third stage syphilis in class instead of insects. That's what they need to be seeing.
This is the you know what they slay message officially is it's cool
Abstinence
to
only.
wait.
It's cool to wait.
And also Willow's message at the end.
Yeah.
It's cool to wait.
Literally. I don't know. Like, until you understand what sexual violence is, you should like wait.
There you go. And I guess this episode will teach the young people about that, because that's a big
little
thing
bit.
here. A little bit. In a way. In a way. Not in quite a Catholic school way, but that's probably for the best.
Yeah, that's probably for the best.
Okay, so then Angel is lurking in the shadows, and Buffy catches him. He's always watching. Xander and Willow see him for the first time. Xander, oh my god, it's happening again. He's like, he's hot. He's like, wait, I didn't know Angel was so hot.
Gay
so
Xander.
Xander's yet again trying to get the attention of a beautiful man. But for this time, he's just really jealous that Buffy likes a hot guy. So Buffy goes over to him and is like teasing him a little bit for being really mysterious and like hard to reach. And he gives her his jacket. And not only does he give her his jacket, but he takes off his jacket to do so. And underneath is a white tank top and like shoulders.
And a
like,
chain.
And a chain and arms. Like,
He looks crazy. Okay, I think this might just be because I've been revisiting Magic Mike lately, but he looks like Channing Tatum.
No, he
Wow.
hikey does.
he could be on their little team in their little
Yeah.
production.
He could
And sort of
absolutely get money
iconic.
for that.
Iconic acting moment from David Boreanaz, because I don't remember what he was saying, but he's saying something completely unrelated, and then all of a sudden goes, "You look cold," and like takes off his jacket and just puts it on. It's like a total non sequitur.
Frankly,
Best actor I've
that's how
ever
I
seen.
talk to people as well. So,
Yeah, I love that. I love that you can see each other. Yeah, you can see yourself in him.
yep. As well as the
Um,
shoulders.
Yes.
As well as the shoulders.
As well as the shoulders. Also, they're having some like beautiful, romantic talk. Like Angel is telling Buffy about how she should be terrified about a monster that's coming to rip her throat out. And she's really pissed off at him that he won't tell her more, which is like understandable. So this is also kind of the beginnings, I feel like, of us like hating Angel, and maybe most viewers hating Angel, because it's like, why are you being like this? So what are your guys' thoughts?
I think that the average viewer is super into Angel at this point. Actually, I think we're a little
Okay,
bit
the
like
average
more
viewer-
team Buffy than the average viewer. We're engaging as like, we are fans of Buffy, we're her supporters, rather than like, I'm Buffy and this mysterious guy is coming up to me. You know? Or at least that's what the intended effect is of Angel at this point, I believe.
Do you think that's because we're gay?
It could be. And older.
And older? Yeah, so it's like, don't like hang out with people that treat you like that.
Yeah, and this isn't sexy.
Yeah, this
Yeah, it
isn't
is
sexy.
annoying because I guess we don't really know how much he knows, but at this point, we're absolutely positive that he's like connected to the underground and he's really tapped into the gossip. So for him to not be saying anything to get attention, he's like putting the literal entire world at
I don't
risk.
think we get an explanation of like, well, Angel had to be really mysterious because of this. Like, he was protecting Buffy. Like, no.
Yeah,
he just wants to be.
At least not yet. Like, at least right now, we're just like, oh, this is so fucking annoying. But also, like, yeah, Buffy's annoyed too. But then also when he walks away without his little jacket on, she's like, oh, damn. He's hot.
I mean, aren't we all?
Mhm.
Yeah.
And it's okay to say because he's eternal. He's not a high schooler.
We don't know that yet, though.
Okay, oops.
Or
But
Buffy
he's like
doesn't know that yet.
obviously not a high schooler. Like, look at that guy.
30.
Okay. So,
Okay.
also at the Bronze, we talked about in one of our other episodes how it's very unclear if the Bronze is like a bar or a cafe. I clocked that the teens that Xander is talking to are drinking sodas because they're drinking out of clear glasses. And we have like a pan through the room that like shows bottles of wine, but then Buffy is drinking something out of like a mug.
Yeah, they
Yes,
they
they have
explicitly
tea.
have coffee and tea. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And alcohol.
Also,
Yes.
stimulants, that's a drug too. Love it.
So true.
Yes, caffeine. Yes. I know, it's amazing that that place exists. I'm like, wow.
I know we
wanna
keep
go
saying
there.
it, but that's like my ideal venue to hang out at.
Ideal venue. Couches right in front of the stage too. You get to sit down. They're always sitting down and watching the show. It's amazing. And they just go like on an average school night because the next day they're at school and they're hanging out with Giles and Giles is complaining about how sunny it is. And it reminded me of Anna Maria.
Yeah, that's my guy.
I looked up this episode on IMDb just to see if there was any fun trivia, and apparently they had written alternative lines there of Giles or Buffy being like, "It's so gray and cloudy, like must remind you of home, Giles," which is funny that they just like wrote for either way it could go in the weather. Like you can't improv
my
that day
God.
up.
That's so cute. I love to
Yeah.
think that that's just their regular banter as colleagues.
Yeah.
As someone with one British friend, I can say that it's most of what we talk about is the weather.
That's cute.
Which British
Eating
friend
the
do you have?
My mom's friend who is like my bestie and lives down the way and is
Love.
moving to London.
Yeah, no name
Down the
dropping,
way.
but
We could bleep it out. We can bleep it out.
We can bleep it out. This is probably going to have to get cut anyway.
I just can't hear about a friend that I don't know.
Oh, well, does it help that he's like in his mid-60s?
No, it does. You're like the only person who, when you're referencing your parents' friend, like that is your friend, and I believe
That's
you.
my bestie. That's my BFF.
And I know it to be true. Okay,
That's my
sorry.
special guy. Okay.
Back on topic.
Back on topic. Okay, they're at school. Xander somehow, Xander shows up and he's like, sweet, no science homework. The science teacher is missing. So Dr. Gregory, the nice / potentially creepy guy, we don't know his backstory actually because he immediately goes missing. He's missing and Xander's reporting this to the Scooby Gang and they're like confused and they're like, what the hell, what happened to him? Because like Buffy and Willow are heroes and are trying to, save the world. And Xander is like, couldn't tell you the cheerleaders had their asses out today and I was too distracted.
I missed that. Oh my God.
Well, okay, he didn't say it with such vulgarity, but he said the cheerleaders were debuting their new shorter skirts today. So I forgot about this like potentially missing
Potential
person.
murder.
Yeah.
Potential murder.
Yeah. He's like, someone I see every day and presumably have a relationship with is missing, presumed dead, and yet these gams.
Yeah. Yeah, these scams. Okay, and then not less than like 10 seconds later, Xander is distracted by a beautiful pair of tall gams, I guess you could say, walking down the way through the courtyard. Our new character, she is a beautiful woman with a short bob and a short skirt, and Xander loves her already. And
She is a beautiful woman.
she is a beautiful woman. She is amazing. And she walks right up to him and asks him for directions. And he doesn't know where anything is. All of a sudden, he chokes. And then he gets a jock. I don't know how else to describe him. Swoops in and takes her away.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And the jock's name is Blaine. I gathered. So
It's giving
remember him.
Glee.
I know. That's what I was going to say. Like, that's not a jock name to me.
Oh my God, I forgot about Blaine from Glee. So true. I was like, they're such different characters. Like, this could not be the same name.
Darren Criss, who is half Filipino.
Love him.
Oh,
Shout out Darren.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my God, love. Gab, I should tell you that I'm in a Daft Punk phase, and the one with, what's his name? Bruno Mars. Hits.
What?
There's a Daft Punk song with Bruno Mars.
I think there is. I
How
might
does
be
it go?
getting him mixed up with someone else. No, actually, I'm realizing live on air that I'm mixing him up with somebody else.
I thought you
It's
said
okay.
one of the Daft Punk guys is Bruno Mars.
Like, I don't think that's right.
Well, you don't know. They never take their hats off. It could be.
It could be.
True,
Bruno Mars is involved in a lot of musical groups, and he is amazing. And I'm, like, regardless of how he gets brought up, I'm happy that he was.
And we should talk about the Benny Blanco of it all, but we can get back to that because Fern told
Benny
me
Blanco
that
is
he's
in Daft Punk?
canceled. No, but Benny Blanco apparently wrote like every banger of the 2010s, which I guess is like big news on TikTok. And then I said something about how I was like down for him and Selena Gomez to be the it couple, and Fern was like, "No, they can't be the it couple because Benny Blanco was canceled."
For
And
what?
I was like, "What was he canceled for?" And apparently it's because he didn't like the Jollibee spaghetti.
Okay, canceled. All right.
And so he got like dragged on Twitter.
Oh my God. Poor guy.
Poor guy. Anyway,
So
fuck
funny.
him.
They're not the
Yeah,
it
poor
couple
guy.
anymore.
Get a divorce. Oh my God, now I can't listen to their new album together. I've been so looking forward to it. That's
The
so
one
sad.
single that Charlie XCX like wrote or something just sounds like a Charlie XCX C-side with Selena Gomez singing it, but that's okay.
Benny
Right.
Blanco wrote East Side by Halsey. Devin. Relevant
Wow,
to you in
okay,
your
I need to
life.
put that in my pocket.
Mm-hmm.
Because I'm going to 2 Halsey concerts.
Yeah.
Did I tell you guys this?
Yeah, I did hear.
I think I knew about one.
2, baby!
Isn't
And I'm
one of
getting
them,
on a
like-
plane for one of them.
Yeah. There you go.
Where are you going?
LA, baby!
You going to LA to see Halsey?
Yes!
Oh my god.
Hollywood Bowl. And guess where else? Concord.
Concord Pavilion.
Concord
Awesome.
Pavilion.
Let's go. That's where I saw the Jonas
venue
Brothers.
in the continental United States. It's like forget the
Literally.
Sphere.
Forget the Sphere, baby.
Forget
We're seeing
it.
Halsey at
I'm
the
going to
Concord Pavilion.
Yes.
Halsey at the Concord Pavilion is like, that's so awesome.
I know. I'm like, this is hometown. Like, this is my hometown. She is visiting my roots. So that's pretty exciting.
I would go with you if I was there,
Oh, yeah.
depending
I
on
wish
the
you
price.
would. I think it was like $150 for a ticket.
It's borderline.
And you know who would
I didn't
travel
buy it.
to the Sphere and further to see a beautiful woman speak in front of a large audience? Is Xander. Because
Xander
Xander's
would.
in love with the new science teacher.
Okay, wait. And how do we know she's the new science teacher? She shows up in science class.
She shows up in
What?
her V-neck sweater, I think. Maybe I'm just making it up in my
Her
fantasy.
V-neck sweater tank, dude. You're right.
Tank. Yeah, I remember being
Again,
like,
we have
whoa.
shoulders. No, yeah, I was like, whoa.
Shoulders
And then
are
I was like-
involved.
That's not even like the sauciest she gets this episode. So we have a lot to look forward to. Yeah, I wrote in my notes, the substitute is the hot lady! Exclamation point. Her name is Natalie French, which is a sexy ass name. And she's wearing a baby blue V-neck tank. And she is there to continue the lesson on insect life. And she starts the class by picking up a live praying mantis in its little cage, which Buffy promptly calls the insect bug ugly.
Just not true. Praying mantis is like a beautiful bug. So much
I know,
uglier bugs
they're
out there.
queens. Yeah.
Yeah,
And
I don't know if it's a beautiful bug. It's a terrifying bug. It's a
it's an
powerful
elegant bug.
It's elegant.
It's an elegant bug. And Natalie, Miss French, gets defensive, of course. She's on our side. She says there's nothing ugly about these unique creatures. So she's on the bug side.
100%
also
with her
points
so
out-
far.
Yes. And she somewhat lovingly also points out that the mantis lives alone because they're cannibals. And she says, nothing wrong with that. It's just the way that nature designed them. So this is what she's teaching our students.
Yeah, I mean, we also talked about this in one of the previous episodes, but like the show does do a good job of making you question the Anthropocene. Like we're always just automatically knee-jerk on the side of the humans, but like give the bug kingdom a chance.
Literally,
Yeah,
it's normal for them to be cannibals, and the ants were here before us and they'll be here after us. So who's the
Exactly.
dominant species on the earth?
Exactly. And feminist Joss also had her say the female is larger and more aggressive than the male, very pointedly. So this we also have to remember.
Slay.
Yes. And she also goes on to say, and we're learning a lot about the praying mantis in this little lesson. And I think it's beautiful that she's pointing out all of the facts about the praying mantis that we will need to know for later on in the episode. So I think this is brilliant storytelling.
It's genuinely good structure here. Yeah. 'Cause it makes
Genuinely
sense.
beautiful structure throughout this entire episode. She also says that the California mantis lays her eggs and then finds her mate to fertilize them. And she does this by like wrapping the eggs in a protective sack. And if she is successful, if she finds a male to fertilize the eggs, she'll have several thousand offspring. And then immediately after Miss French says this, she wants volunteers to stay over lunch break with her to help build model egg sacs. And all the boys in the class raise their hands and they want to stay back with Miss French to build her egg sacs.
I literally like can't not scowl when I hear the word egg sac. Like it's so disgusting to me.
And
really
the like
horrific.
oval oblong shape of the eggs when we see that is just like not a good shape. It's horrible.
Not a nice round egg.
And right
I
after we
also-
have, oh yeah, go ahead.
I'm kind of surprised. I was like, is this actually realistic that just because she's hot, the teacher, boys will want to do extra work over lunch? Maybe at one point, maybe at this era, should I say this? Maybe boys were more horny at this point. But I really believe
Before
if
the
she was a high school
phones.
teacher right now, everyone would be like, actually, I'm going to go scroll TikTok in the hallway at lunch. I don't want to make egg sacs with you, sexy Miss French.
Oh
Yeah,
my God, the
because-
phones are literally ruining our youth. I think you're right. I mean, kids are having less sex than they ever had. I mean, I guess we're going back on our abstinence only stance at the beginning.
They're having
But-
less sex with teachers. Almost
Less
none.
sex with
Some have
teachers.
said none. Recent reports have showed they're trying to eradicate that.
Fucked up.
Unless the Pope has anything to do with it, am I right? Sorry.
Yeah.
Cut that out. That's horrible.
Not this Pope,
Maybe
not my
Jonathan
Pope.
Haidt was right.
I think this Pope is also bad, but we can talk about that off pod.
I just learned today that there was a pope named Pope Innocent, and that just seems wrong to me.
It's like
Sorry
you
to
can't
everyone
claim
who already
that.
knew that. Mhm. Okay, so right after we hear about the egg sacs, we get a close-up shot of what's for lunch at the cafeteria. We're skipping ahead to lunch when the egg sacs will be made. Slop is served. It's hot dog surprise. And it looks like eggs and it's beans.
But Cordelia is in the kitchen demanding her medically prescribed diet lunch.
Yeah.
Awesome.
No, I
Awesome.
hate this.
I'm so curious what was going to be in it. I'm really bummed that she found like a headless body in the fridge and not her medically prescribed lunch, because I really wanted to know if it was like just a handful of almonds and a cigarette or something.
Grapefruit.
Grapefruit.
Yeah, I don't know what they were doing in the 90s, but it wasn't good. So she does find something somehow more horrifying than a diet lunch in the freezer.
Debatably.
Drum roll, please. Decapitated body of, what's his name? The science
Greg.
teacher. Greg.
Greg.
Sorry, Greg.
Decapitated Greg.
It was thoughtful to put him in the freezer, though. Slow decomp.
Yes. Wait, I also am interested to bring up, before we get to the slow decomp, such a good point. In line to get their slop, Buffy and Willow are like making fun of Xander for fawning over Miss French. And they're talking about like joking about Miss French's like surgical improvements. And they like are saying, wow, Xander's so naive, so innocent. Like he doesn't know about this. He doesn't know how to clock it. And I was just like,
She is
This is-
unclockable.
Okay, yeah, I'm curious what you have to say.
I don't think she has any obvious surgical improvements.
Just a really good brassiere.
Yeah, exactly. That could be a push-up bra. Absolutely.
Yeah, that was like definitely a trope of the 90s, was maligning plastic surgery and using that to like try to diminish the power that someone wields through being beautiful. And
Yeah,
they're doing
it was
that
like,
majorly.
I think once you say that, it's just like, oh, now she's seen as cheap. Like, even just suggesting it, like, it doesn't have to be true. Just by them saying it, you're supposed to have this reaction of, oh, yeah, I don't trust her. Like, she's faking it or something like that. And it's like really interesting how different the conversation around it is today.
Yeah, it's interesting. It's definitely different to a degree, but also there's a level of it where people are still this way. Like about Kim Kardashian, for example. And then we'll still speak about her in this way, but then other celebrities sort of like there's a certain level that's just accepted across the board and no one would ever be maligned for it. And then you go too far and you're a harlot again.
Or like talk about it and people are aghast. But if it's like your dirty little secret or something, viewers, I'm rolling my eyes.
Yeah, I truly love when people talk about it. I wish the Kardashians would talk about it more. I think that would be so fucking interesting. But did you guys see that we just have Kanye West in his KKK outfit? That's the time we're living in. Did you see that?
No.
We did not see that. Hard to hear.
Yeah.
Hard to hear.
I know. Sorry to bring that up on air, but
Listen to his new album? Sorry.
we can cut that.
Yeah, since we're cutting, did you guys listen to his new album?
And since we're cutting, I'm getting lip balm.
Okay. It was actually, some of it was good.
I have not listened to it because also in his interview when he was dressed up as a KKK member, like full garb and a swastika necklace. No one has said anything about the swastika necklace also. Like all the articles I've seen about it, they don't even mention it. Anyways, he said that he's like the best person ever in music and like no one can make music like him and he ruins everyone's careers because his music is better.
He's a very sick man.
I know. And I was just like, oh, this is so the epitome of something. Like just you in your outfit and saying these
Craving
things.
media attention.
I can't. Oh, I found it. So my last thing on this, since we're cutting, is Azalea Banks on Kanye said, "I wish Kanye knew how fucking lame the Jew jokes are. Not specifically because of the intent to be offensive, but the greater offense in how horribly tired and cliche Hitler jokes are." Like, he's really doing third grade Hitler jokes. You know, it's like, it's not. You're just being so stupid and derivative and like. So cliche in trying to be edgy that you're just like, I'm Hitler. Like, that's not cool.
Yeah.
Everyone
else has done that when they were like 10.
It's like this video that Fern showed me on TikTok where some older sibling is like, has a little row of younger siblings and is like, okay, I'm going to put the phone on the bathroom counter and I'll close the door. And when you're in there, you can say any bad word you want.
Yeah, I've seen those. Those are so cute.
And they close the door and the kid is like, poop or something. But it's like, it's literally that, you know, like that's the energy he's giving. It's like on camera saying like the worst word he can summon.
And I'm like, I know you don't even believe this. I really don't think he does. It's just stupid. Anyways, sorry, back to the pod.
I don't see how he could. Okay. Yeah, so Cordelia got her lunch. Oh, wait, no, she didn't. It was Gregory. It was dead Greg. Fuck. Okay.
So everyone lost because Buffy and Willow got hot dog surprise, which they really don't like, and Cordelia got decapitated frozen man. Screams. Next thing we know, she's in counseling, and iconic Italian coded Principal Flutie is telling Buffy that she needs to go to counseling.
I know. I
agree with him
Sweet
here.
guy.
She should have enforced counseling.
Yeah.
I agree with him as well. She should. She needs it. She needs it throughout her entire life from here on out. But it's interesting the theme of her thinking like pushing away the trauma response. Like she's just like on to the next thing. I need to solve this. I'm the hero. But then also being like, I just want a regular life. But she's not melding them by like seeking help at all mentally. Cordelia is though, because she is in the counselor's office talking about more medically prescribed lunches. I don't even
She's
remember.
talking about like the scare from seeing a decapitated body has been a better appetite suppressant than the diet her doctor put her on. And like, it's so, what quack put Cordelia on a diet? I'm gonna kill this guy.
Yeah.
And she says that she's learning how to make the most of a traumatizing situation, just like how when you buy a used Mercedes, they still have leather seats.
Wow.
So I thought that was a really apt and thoughtful comparison from Cordelia.
She's doing well in therapy and she's opening up. I like that about it.
King
Honestly,
Cordy.
Yeah. It's like,
Yeah.
wherever you are, let's talk about it, queen.
She's being honest. I love that. And I'm also shocked too, like that they don't show Willow in counseling at all. Cause I'm also like, Willow is just this regular person who's very obviously like sensitive, but also strong. And she sees the body full on. Like she's next to Buffy, like grimacing. And I'm like, this girl seems like the most, like she gets so strong, but right now she's still in her like learning and developing phase. And I'm like, oh my God, I feel for her.
Mm-hmm.
She still
Yeah.
thinks she has a crush on Xander, which
I
she is
know.
not selling BTW.
We're early on.
Okay, and that comes out when we're in the library.
Which cut
Oh,
to
wait, we're getting ahead
Willow's
of ourselves.
adorable outfit. Sorry. Okay, you go. and
Wait,
then I'll
guys, we're
go.
getting like a whole chapter ahead. But I like the energy.
Fact check.
Fact check. Let's rewind. Because that part is when Xander is in the dungeon. So let's go back to
No. This is the next part. I don't know. Maybe it's not. You go.
when when Willow is like in the library and she's saying, "Oh my God, Xander shouldn't get his head decapitated because that's
I
his
love
beautiful
him.
or his beautiful smile is." Yeah, that's like really far ahead. So let's go back a sec.
I think
though.
she's wearing this outfit. It's when Giles is like, I gotta call my boy, but maybe it's later.
My
Okay.
lunatic
Okay, we should
bestie.
include a picture of that too.
Yeah, I'll talk
In the
about it
final
again, and we'll get this.
Yeah,
part
yeah.
out.
Bring it back. Bring it back. Okay. Okay. So Cordy is also screaming like when she sees the dead body. She's screaming, "His head! His head! Where's his head?" So we know his head's gone. And then the gang goes to meet Giles in the library, and I thought it was iconic when Xander was just like, "Well, that's a new one." Like, "Oh my God, decapitated body in the freezer." And it's just them constantly like identifying new traumas, and that's like the entire show. It's like Monster of the Week is just them being traumatized over and over again in new ways.
Add it to the list.
Add it to the list, so I liked that. And then they're kind of going through, speaking of lists, they're going through potential enemies of Dr. Greg, thinking who could have done this to him. He was such a nice guy though, so at least on the outside. Buffy considers the monster that Angel keeps warning her about. Like back in the scene when he took off his jacket, he had this wound on his big bulging shoulder that was sort of like a scratch. And Buffy jokes, and he warns her about this guy. And Buffy kind of jokes like, what is he, a vampire with like a fork for a hand? So then this guy is continuously referred to as Fork Hands. And they're thinking, okay, did Fork Hands do this to Dr. Greg?
But it's like forks would be such an inefficient method of decapitating.
Forks would be really inefficient. It would
More
be more like a
like
shredding
guillotine hand.
situation. So true. Gabby, you should have been in that room.
Put me in the room. Also, just saying, this is the point where Willow is wearing an adorable outfit. She's got a little striped number on over a blue shirt, or I don't know if they're built in or something. We'll insert a picture. Just one of Willow's many iconic high school outfits.
Thank you
Yeah.
for addressing the fashion component.
And they like tried to make her dorky, and it's not. to
She's
me.
just
or
so
maybe I just really
adorable.
like things that are dorky, but she looks perfect, and I have no notes.
That's my
Yeah, she
queen.
looks perfect. I mean, that's how everybody in their 20s in Oakland is dressing these days. So I think she got it right. Or we're getting it wrong. Either way, we're on her team.
If I'm getting it wrong, but I'm doing what Willow's doing, I don't want to be right.
Exactly. Okay, and then also in this scene when they're in the library discussing what the hell happened, Giles relates this decapitation to an incident where a homeless person was found in a park shredded. And that's a paraphrasing of Giles's words. And he did use the word shredded. So that's horrific.
Seems like a Scissorhands guy.
Yeah.
Of crime.
So both Buffy and Giles are thinking potentially this is the work of one Mr. Forkhands, but clearly it's more of a guillotine situation, as Gabby has pointed out. So we're still kind of working on melding these two storylines. Xander is still frustrated with, like, this is fucked up. Why is there a new trauma happening? And he jokes that they are on a monster island because of these different incidents. And Buffy has an iconic line where she corrects him and says, like, yeah, we're on a hellmouth. And I thought that was a really cool, like, quote to have. So maybe we should show a clip of that too. I really liked that. Anyways, we get the classic scene of Giles telling Buffy not to do anything crazy, not to go to the park where this person on the bench was shredded. And then the next scene is her at the park where the person on the bench was shredded. So...
And luckily she does check on everyone she runs into, which I thought was very responsible. Until eventually she comes upon some very artfully stacked branches, which she deftly removes, and we get our first jump scare of the episode, which really got me. I was watching this episode coming off of, like, a homicidal rage about a stupid thing at work for, like, no reason. Like, you know, just, like, going totally off the rails because I was, like... annoyed.
Yeah, your background is blurry because your room is in tatters.
Shredded. And then I tried to get through a 10-minute, like, Qigong class on YouTube. Couldn't do it. Decided to just watch this episode instead. So it was actually kind of freeing to have the jump scare because it, like, surged all my adrenaline in a way that had to happen.
It's like getting rid of the hiccups.
Literally. So I scared the bad attitude right out of me. And we see that. Mr. Forkhand. Yes. He runs, obviously. He knows he's cooked after Buffy throws a little 1-2 kick. And Buffy ends up behind a fence that he has just climbed. And he's running at a woman with 2 shopping bags in hot pursuit.
A sexy woman. And of course it's Miss French. And she's walking home at night, so mysterious with her groceries. She's by herself, so we think, oh, she's going to get forked. And she actually turns around and just with one look scares off this big monster guy with fork hands.
I love the way he cowers from her here. He's like,
yes.
Yeah.
And he kind of hisses at her, like, in defense, but it doesn't do a thing. Like, she's not shook at all. Buffy sees the whole thing through the fence. She's like, that's mysterious. Forkhands also runs into the street, opens up a manhole cover, and, like, all fours forward, like, jumps into the sewer. Yeah. And I was like, okay, that's an actor. Like, it was really broken for me in that moment.
Totally. That was iconic, and I clocked the exact same thing. I was just like, absolutely not, like, whatever, hilarious. Yeah, totally clumsy, like, getting into the sewer. But that does teach our girl Buffy where Forkhands lives. Yes. So I know why they did it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was like, that is for sure just a human being, like, in some padding. So, but you're right, it is a key to the story. Okay, so then we go back to the library. We're back at school, and Buffy reports to Giles what she saw the night before. He kind of just, you know, goes with the flow that she was out in the park at night dealing with Mr. Forkhands. And she says that the fork is more like a jumbo claw. So now we kind of get some context of the magnitude of this, like, weapon. And now everyone is kind of suspicious of Miss French as well. Like, what's her deal? And then we go back to science class. And then this kind of perpetuates the what the fuck is her deal, because Miss French is fully flirting with Xander. She's giving him blinky eyes. She's
answers to the test,
touching him on the shoulder. Hand on the shoulder, I was like, that's too far. Pit in my stomach. That's disgusting.
And this is sort of the start of a Buffy specific trope, which it's the first episode of it, so we don't know yet. But anytime someone is flirting with Xander or seems to want to have sex with Xander, you should be red flag. That's a murderer. That's some sort of monster.
That's a monster. That's real. That's going to kill me.
I love that. Like, that's not just a monster. That's a murderer. Like, they have killed before.
And they're right to be sus on Miss French because they're like, well, neither man nor beast can make a vampire cower. So what unholy power is within her? And I think that Buffy... Oh, this is the point where Buffy is late for the pop quiz and is looking through the little portal in the door to the classroom.
The portal.
Miss French... hears her and turns her head, get this, 180 degrees.
And how it looks is so funny. Like, I feel like they could have gotten it a little smoother, like a little bit more on the right level. It's so ridiculous.
Yeah, no, we're going like full animatronic Chuck E. Cheese style, like with the head turning.
It is giving Chuck E. Cheese in a major way.
Okay, and so let's see. So so Buffy sees that. Okay, wait, we have to cut this. I got distracted by my notes.
Oh, and within the next like couple minutes, we sort of get like a behind the scenes perspective on Miss French because it's lunchtime. Our queen has a Tupperware labeled food. But when she opens the food, filled with live crickets, which like
is food.
That's food. But that I was my thought as well. Fried.
The sandwich looked like not that bad to me. I was really hungry watching this.
The sandwich, like including the crickets as well.
Just the thought of like a folded over sandwich, a little something savory in there. Not a bad
little
thought.
Mayo.
Yeah, with mayo,
little bread.
Yeah, she did have mayo, crickets. So that's the saving grace. Because otherwise, I could imagine being a little scratchy on the throat. But
I would want them to be dead.
And we heard that crunch. Yeah, they were alive. We heard the crunch. They were also escaping off her plate. I thought it was so interesting too that she folded the sandwich over. I think that's sweet that you're like charmed by that, Gab. I didn't quite know that was a thing.
Maybe they like did a take and ruined a piece of bread. You know, they only had 2 on deck.
Or they needed to hide that there weren't actually crickets in it. So they were like, no gaps.
Oh, yes. No gaps.
You don't
no
think
escaping.
she ate the live crickets?
Anyway, after she eats her little sandwich, physics of which are still under dispute, experts can't agree what might have happened.
Xander.
Oh, yes. Xander is there. Xander is ready to make model egg sacs with her, and they're really big. And key thing that Xander noticed, his little sweet little brain, he points out that if they were real, that the bugs in them would be as big as him. Which is such a good
point. The clues are in front of you, babe. The clues are in front of you.
Yeah, I'm like, girl, open your eyes. She's evil. But she just has him under her flirtatious spell. And also and I think she was pretending during this scene, she forgot her supplies to make the model egg sacs at home. So she says, Xander, why don't you just come to my house tonight and we'll make them there? And Xander is really excited. So excited that he actually cuts to himself playing the electric guitar in his head.
I forgot about that.
So that was really cute. And also I wanted to point out that I just like was reminded of my love for the like science classroom as like a Buffy like hub of just paranormal activity, that this place that is supposed to, you know, study and catalog like the reality of our world is usually like a hub for the paranormal and like witches spells. And like we saw in the previous episode, the witch, like that's where Buffy and Amy and her mom like open up a whole portal to the other world. And they always are doing like witchy paranormal stuff in the science room. So of course that's the setting for this scene as well. And we get hints of human-sized bug sacs. So
I feel like, science classroom probably most used classroom set in Buffy, but we'll continue to comment on that as we go. I
think Gabby is a science witch. That's all.
Gabby is a science witch. Yeah, because I was thinking like, oh, if they made like the English, like the AP English lit classroom or something, like the main thing of this show, it would have to be like, oh, old style romantic vampire stories, you know?
And they
could
have done that.
They could have, and it would be a totally different show. Like I think the science classroom being a hub of activity and the library, it's so genius. It's such a good combo.
You're so
you're
right. It
working
gets
with
the
like
vibe.
the fabric of reality. Yeah, I love it.
And it's like, I don't know, just the feel of the show. It's more, I don't know, like teen and grounded and fun and kooky rather than trying to be like romantic or gothic to all the extent that it could be.
Yeah.
I was going to say, at the risk of stating the obvious, it is really bad that Xander is going to go to his teacher's house.
No, this has to be said. It's really bad.
Like, you're not like a little bit weirded out that she invited you to her house?
I know. I was going to ask you specifically, Gabby, this question because Buffy goes back and reports to the group that Miss French can turn her head in this crazy way, and then she kind of backs that up of like being suspicious of her by saying like, plus her fashion sense screams predator. And so I'm really curious to hear your commentary on like, yeah, not only is she like an older woman trying to seduce like a 16-year-old or 17-year-old boy, but like her fashion sense is somehow a part of this. So please comment.
I didn't think about this that much at the time of watching it, but to a certain extent, being a teacher in a high school and wearing revealing clothing is different. Like, and it's not just, comfortable clothing. I think that she's wearing clothing that she knows is like sexually provocative, which in any context is usually fine. But when you're a high school teacher, you might want to be more mindful of it. It could be purposefully predatory.
Mm-hmm. Really
and
good
in this
PSA.
Case, it certainly is.
It certainly is. She's like, they're like moths to her flame.
Like crickets to her mantis, even.
Yes.
So the state of the state is that Buffy and Willow know that something inhuman is going on with Miss French. Xander, blissfully unaware, just thinks he's going on a hot date in the private residence of his teacher unsupervised, and he played the guitar in response to that mentally. And Giles is a Luddite, so he's a little bit behind, but he has his contact, who is an entomologist, mythologist PhD from Oxford or something.
Really cool
retainer.
combo of PhDs.
Yeah, I was like, if I could get that. I mean, maybe you still can in like England. Anyway.
And their name is Carlisle. Dr.
Gorgeous
Ferris Carlisle. Like, that's beautiful.
So
but you're
everyone
right,
is
they do decide that Xander has a crush on an insect. They kind of establish that.
They got to wrap it up in the last 10 minutes of the episode. So they think of it immediately and pretty much immediately also confirm their suspicions. And Xander is welcomed into the sultry boudoir of Miss French. And Queen is making the most disgusting, wretched-looking martinis you could possibly imagine.
What is gross about these martinis?
Okay, well, first of all, there's 2 ounces of anything.
I was like, girl. I mean, I was kind of like, oh, this is actually good because she's serving it to a child, so he gets 1 sip of alcohol, but also that's not a martini.
And she's like, it's pouring crazy from the shaker. There's no ice. I didn't hear a single ice cube. Glasses,
a hot martini.
Warm. Everything is room temp at best. I think the fire is roaring in the fireplace. I made that up. I have no idea. So
the fire was roaring. The fire was
70-degree martinis. Disgusting. And also, I learned recently that like 99% of people can tell the temperature of water just from hearing it be poured.
Wow.
Wait, 99%?
Yeah, like you can tell
that includes
the pitch.
Both of us. That includes all of us. That's
us, Deb. That's us. And I'm like, what I'm hearing is warm water getting poured into, well, not warm. I'm hearing room temperature water get poured into that quote unquote martini when it should be ice cold gin.
Yes.
So anyway, I just wanted to tease her for a bit. Who can blame her? Because she's a praying mantis.
I love that. And she's hot, so Xander doesn't care. And he's like, damn, you got a martini for me? Also talk about fashion sense. I mean, she looks amazing. She's in this tiny little black dress, but it's a completely inappropriate situation.
She's like, sorry, should I change? Girl, what? Like,
girl, what? No. Like, you know you're not going to change. I wrote in all caps, I said, titties and martinis are out when Xander walks in.
He says, that's the most beautiful chest I've ever seen.
Yeah, he does say that.
I didn't even catch that. Oh my God.
He does.
Yeah, and Miss French says, have you ever been with a woman before? And Xander was like, oh, yeah, several. Actually, no, I haven't. So we're kind of on the theme of like everyone keeps asking Xander this.
At first he says, you mean like in the same room?
Yeah.
Which is really funny
so
because
sweet.
he goes to school. Of course he's been in a room with a woman.
He does go to school. That's where you can find women, is at school. Yes.
You sure can.
Teachers?
Yes. Feminist Joss knows that's where women go.
Women go to
Is
school. So Xander's in danger. And at this point, I think he knows it. It's not clear if his martini was drugged or if he's just never had that much alcohol before. So he's
Okay, I think it was drugged
on
because
his
he had
ass,
one
too.
sip of alcohol.
And
Yeah.
maybe that's
I mean-
why it was, canonically warm, is because you have to dissolve things.
You got to dissolve the poison. So she had her scheme and it's going flawlessly at this point. Like she got the boy to her house. She's got him drugged. Now, time to drag him downstairs to the cellar where
wait,
his little
before you say
cage
this-
covered in straw is waiting.
Straw. Can I say that Miss French goes, would you like to touch me? And Xander goes, wow, your hands are really
Serrated.
And then her hand turns into a mantis hand. And then she takes him down into his dungeon of straw. You're right.
Yeah, your hands are really serrated. It's like a really great line.
Yeah. And
Really
he kind of
great
confesses his love for Buffy in that moment too. Because he's like out of his mind off the poison. And he's like, is that Buffy? I love Buffy. Cut, opens his eyes in his straw kennel. And who is captive next to him but
Blaine.
Blaine.
I almost said Boyle. No, Blaine.
Blaine is freaking out because Blaine has been through this
Seen
circus
some
before.
shit.
Yeah,
Yes.
he knows what's coming.
This sudden shift of her into the mantis and then him being like pulled down into the lair reminded me of the lair of the white worm. Who has seen?
Wait, I have seen this. Didn't we watch this together?
Did we watch it? I was like, which of you were there?
Didn't we
Never
watch
heard of
this?
that in my life.
Wait, and I don't remember a single moment of that movie.
It's really odd and I really like it, but the vibes are exactly this.
Okay,
Lair of the White
so
Worm.
readers, if you're interested in more of this type of content, watch The Lair of the White Worm.
Yeah,
Official
especially if you
recommendation.
like the sexy woman monster and this amount of technical effects.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my god, I need to watch a recap like immediately because I remember that movie leaving me stunned. But yeah, now she's a big bug. So you're right. She's a big bug. Her voice has changed. She has a scary, demented voice, but there's still a little hint of like femininity and like girl voice in there, which I thought was really funny. And they're in the dark dungeon. It's sticky and wet and disgusting and dark, and it really just seems like an insect's lair. So
And
It's a
she
web.
wants him to ostensibly come on her eggs.
Yes, fertilize. She's gonna shoot the eggs out, is what Blaine says. Which again, shudder. And then perform a ritual and then bite his head off. Is sort of the
Yes.
vibe we're getting.
perform
And-
the ritual of mating with him, and yeah, him fertilizing the eggs, which I was kind of like, how does this work?
Seems like it would be hard for him to get there in this context, but maybe it's part of
Yeah.
the ritual.
And
I don't know, bugs.
Yeah.
It seems like
Pheromone
human
stuff.
cum plus insect bugs equals big.
Equals magical shape-shifting praying mantis / human.
Yeah. I was like,
That makes sense to me.
okay.
Another sort of like, I don't know if this is a historical inaccuracy, but she's referenced. Oh, salud. The mantis woman, Miss French, is referenced several times by, I think, just Buffy and Giles as a siren.
Yes.
And I was like, okay, she's a siren because she's like luring young men, but sirens, I don't think are trying to breed. And that's like her whole thing. So, I mean, obviously you can use the term loosely, but I was just a little bit like,
Okay, yeah, I
Is
wrote
she?
this down too because I was struck by Giles comparing her after he got off the phone with Carlisle. Giles reports that Carlisle has experience with this creature called the she mantis. Hilarious. Okay.
something Virgo, Sirenus Virgos or something.
Yeah, or he called that this she mantis a virgin stealer, and he compared her to like Greek sirens and Celtic sea maidens. And yeah, it seemed kind of like a mermaid like type of connection, but you're right, like they don't breed and that's her whole thing. But I think it's also interesting that she's like, I need the purity of virgins to like be my mate.
And
then,
sirens
yeah, like-
aren't about virgins either.
They're not, but luring men with your sexuality to eventually kill them, which
Maybe
I had
the
a lot of
Celtic
points on.
versions.
I wanted to research the roots of this siren figure, and not just sirens are this in mythology, but the sexy woman-like monster who seduces men and then kills them. I didn't. Did I really get to the root of it and have a clear story to tell? The answer is no, but I was like, this has got to be in some way rooted in Christianity, right? Because many things are.
The
So I
Greeks
looked
were into
up
that.
siren mythology Christianity, and what comes up is a bunch of web pages of like online preacher blogs, and it's not the history, it's real Christians posting about beware the myth of the siren. This one is called beware of this seductive spirit in the church. And let me scroll a little bit. Proverbs warns against the alluring sounds of the seductive women who would capture the undisciplined man and shipwreck his life. History is filled with the fall and ruin of men who could not resist the alluring lips and mouth of the seductive woman. Skipping down a little bit, you're like, okay, classic stuff. He goes into the headlines of ABC, NBC, CBS, CNN, Fox, blah, 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 is filled with stories of leading men who are victims of the songs of the sirens. The hashtag #MeToo movement has captured the
Harvey
headlines
Weinstein, famous victim.
and the emotions of millions of women who have been victimized by unwanted advances of men. Okay, I'm like, is this guy kind of woke? Then he says, what I find very curious is the women who are the major voices of this movement dress in the very manner Greek and Byzantine art portray the siren.
Okay, so we're getting back to fashion. She dresses like a predator.
And this is what we call weak analysis, everyone.
Hashtag #MeToo is simply another song of the sirens.
Oh my god. Yeah, this is what we
is
call
happening
personal
now.
analysis.
This
It's
is what
happening
the,
now.
Yeah. That's
this is what the church is
unhinged.
spreading.
Wow.
Like, it just, the myth continues to evolve. And
That's like when I looked up and went down the rabbit hole of this website called 1 Million Moms that were like scouring different kids' cartoons, being like, here's all of the instances where like these cartoons are trying to push like the homosexual agenda onto our kids, and like Satan is in these words if you like play it backwards, and like all of these things. These people exist, like they're
out
everywhere.
there in droves. And I just think it's interesting how kind of at first, and my initial reaction to watching this kind of trope in media is to be like, slay, queen, girl boss, kill him. I like this trope. But it is historically and currently harmful to women and used by people to spread this myth of like women's sexuality being violent and dangerous, and thus them deserving what happens to them.
Yeah, and I guess like it's also a kind of motif that I noticed like within the Buffy universe is that like Xander is kind of portrayed as this innocent young boy, which he is, and then there's the evil older woman who like takes advantage of, which is real, but also the idea of like their how they portray sex just with throughout the show is like as a corrupting force. And so like having a sexuality like makes you corrupt, makes you a predator, makes you evil. And like virgins are this vulnerable, like pure thing that like the evil sexual beings are like looking to take their purity and like corrupt them. And these are the monsters, are like the virgin stealers, like are trying to take the purity of like the young kids. And that virginity like should be protected. And I feel like we had that like with Buffy and the Master too. Like it felt very much like he's trying to get her purity, or like when she's in the very first episode, like, yeah, or was it the first episode? In her encounters with the Master, like she's just this young girl that's like very pure, and he's this like evil older force that like has seen so much. And so, and like later on with Buffy and Angel and everything, like we just have this like really interesting portrayal of sex like throughout Buffy. So I'm curious to like keep noticing that.
Which is so a theme of vampires in mythology as well.
Vampires.
In general.
I know. So I guess it's very fitting for them to take this on. And like, how could you have monsters without taking on like the actual societal fears of our time? Like that's kind of probably, I mean, I'm just like thinking off the top of my head, like that's probably why monsters are created, is like to embody the fears of humanity. And so if this is like rooted in Christian values, it's like Christian fears are like hypersexuality and things like that, and like taking away the purity of virgins. So it's obviously done in a way that's like we have to disagree with an older teacher seducing a young student. But there's broader themes at work.
Yeah, Xander's hubris is his unquenchable sexual desire. So we'll see that come up again soon, dear reader.
Yes.
Luckily, as Xander is in this dungeon, scary version, Buffy has had the brilliant stroke of genius. Well, she goes and tries to find the address on file for Miss French, the teacher. Turns out Miss French is a real person, long retired, who was an educator for over 30 years. Queen.
Hero.
Yeah, and they do this because Willow hacks into like the school computers, and not only does she hack into school like database, but she hacks into like the coroner's office to find out other instances of like mantis attacks. So Willow is already becoming a whiz at the computer.
Yeah, and before I interrupted myself, what I was going to say is that Buffy had the beautiful brainwave to get old Dagger Hands himself and lure him out from the sewers and drag him by the scruff of his neck around town until he acts scared outside someone's house. And that's how they find her.
It's really fun that you kind of think this guy is going to be the villain of the episode, and then he's just a tool that they use to get to the real villain. He's not a problem for Buffy at all.
R.I.P. to him. That scene where he served his purpose and she needs to get rid of him made me think about how suburbia is really the perfect setting for vampire slaying, because there's white picket fences everywhere.
There's so much wood.
Sure enough, Buffy is knocked to the ground in their tussle. What does she see? White picket fence. Rip a picket out of the ground. Stab it into old Dagger Hands. Poof. Bada bing, bada boom.
And nobody is around because they're just all at home with their nuclear families watching TV.
And this wouldn't work nowadays because the white picket fences are made of plastic.
Say that.
Yeah, and all the grass is fake. Unrelated, I guess, but still had to say.
That would be fine.
So Orange County wins again.
Yes.
I guess.
Amazing. And meanwhile, Xander is still downstairs in the basement in the dungeon of Miss French's house. So it's good that Buffy has found the house because the mantis has taken Xander out of his dungeon and is squirting her eggs out at him. And not only is like preparing to have him fertilize the eggs, but is like begging Xander to kiss her and is like, kiss me, and it's like very creepy voice, and it's disgusting, it's gooey, there's eggs everywhere, it's horrific, and I'm just like, that is vile. Buffy pops in and whips out her bug spray and starts spraying bug spray everywhere. I thought that was also iconic. And then also Giles has also come prepared with a recording of bat sonar because Buffy identified bats as the number one
natural enemy of the mantis.
And we're hoping it works on the she mantis as well.
One stupid Giles. Or I don't know if it's Giles' fault or Buffy's fault, but
it's definitely Giles'
tech.
He can't use tech.
He's a Luddite, famously.
Buffy gets like all ready to go, ready to play the bat sonar. She has her jokes. She's witty. She presses play on the tape as she's like holding it above her head, like ready to have this badass moment. And we hear Giles like talking to himself on the tape about his research or something. And then Buffy gets whacked and Giles gets whacked because the bat sonar was not being played. So there's fighting and fighting to get the tape back. And then we finally get the tape back and the bat sonar gets played. And then Buffy hacks her to pieces with a machete.
She absolutely slays. In front of Blaine.
In front of Blaine, in front of Xander. Xander, very, very good. He thanks everybody there. He takes responsibility for his actions. He says he's an idiot. He thanks everybody. Willow had the iconic moment where she said, "So sad that the she mantis only feeds on virgins."
Yeah, and that's
she
how
got you guys.
And that's how Blaine is also outed as a virgin. Him and Xander have kind of like a gorgeous reckoning where they both learn that they've been putting on the same show for who? Each other.
For each other. I know. But Blaine says that if anyone ever talks about it, he'll get his dad, who's a lawyer, to like kill them or something. So yeah,
that would be hard.
That would be hard.
I don't think it counts as slander, Blaine. Also, I picked up on this. Maybe this isn't true, but I picked up on this as like Willow knowing that Xander is a virgin. Which was a cute idea to me. Like, they are so bestie.
They're so bestie. Oh my god, no! Back in the library when Giles realized this, that the she mantis only feeds on virgins, Buffy's like, well, Xander's gonna be fine then. Like, he's fine. And I was like, Buffy, what the fuck?
Yeah, where are you getting this, girl?
Where are you getting this?
And
then Willow's like, he's in trouble. We need to get him. So I thought that was cool. It's like, yeah, that's bestie. And then Xander takes the machete that Buffy used to kill the she mantis and hacks up all of the eggs. And fun fact, the soundtrack of this moment is another song by Superfine, and this one is called Stoner Love. So
yeah,
sick.
And before handing the machete to Xander, Buffy like wipes it on her butter yellow pants, which was pretty awesome.
Oh my god, it probably didn't even show up because that's probably the color of the mantis goo.
But we get kind of a scary and ominous preview at the end, where cut back to science class again. New teacher, doesn't seem particularly charismatic, just kind of going through the lesson. And Buffy wistfully picks up the broken glasses of Dr. Gregory. And like lovingly places them back in the closet for some reason. Like,
that's
I don't know,
like
as
his
if he's gonna come get them someday. It's pretty tragic, honestly, to think of like taking something that is a dead person's and like putting it back where it's supposed to go. Like, ouchie. But we get from inside the closet perspective of Buffy putting the glasses away, and as we pan down, we hear a scary sound, and we notice there are a few more eggs left in the corner of the closet.
And we have to assume
hatching.
that because this doesn't come up again, those eggs have a really long life cycle, and they're probably still babies by the end of Buffy. We won't have more mantis monsters for 100, 200 years.
Or they go colonize somewhere else. Yeah, I don't know.
I was thinking, yeah, they must have lived like a long, prosperous life in the shadows or like out in the forest.
Or
maybe they're just eating people.
Maybe the eating virgins thing skips a generation.
Or the friends do lose their virginity throughout the series, so it just happens to other people, potentially.
Yeah, it's just like not their problem anymore. They're like, we're good actually off that. Like, we can't see it, not our problem. I mean, that's the Hellmouth, I guess.
Triage.
But that's not Buffy.
Triage. You're right. That's not Buffy. She cares for all. Yeah, I guess I like to think that those mantises are out living in the woods, just having a nice vegetarian diet.
Mm-hmm.
So. And then we also see Buffy back at the Bronze, running into Angel again. And Angel seems pleased that Buffy has taken Mr. Fork/Claw Hands off of the streets. He seems to like acknowledge that that's the scary big bad that he's been warning her about, and that it's all good now, and he'll like be around for when the next scary guy comes up. But I'm like, how is that the one that you've been mysteriously warning her about? Like, she took him down in like 2 minutes.
It's like, Angel, you should have taken care of this for her.
Yeah. It's so bizarre. And then she's like, here, do you want your jacket back? And then he's like, no, it looks better on you.
Such a flirt.
Such a flirt. I know, it's like he's mysterious in all the ways. He's so manipulative if you think about it. Like, he's just keeping her wrapped around his finger. But Buffy's in. She's like swooning over him. And that's pretty much that. That's kind of the wrap of our episode.
And she's wearing the most iconic giant 90s plastic rings in the last scene too, which were very inspirational for me.
Obsessed with that. Yeah, you got to start wearing rings.
It's actually part of my plan for 2025.
I've been thinking about getting into rings as well.
And Gab, we're like the ones who never do.
Yeah. I stopped biting my nails. Do you see? I have nails now.
Wow.
This is first in my life.
They're beautiful. They're beautiful, Gabby. They're gorgeous. Okay, do you guys want to have any closing remarks on the episode?
Honestly, I thought we weren't going to have much to talk about. I thought it was like a relatively boring episode, like sort of classic, straightforward mystery. Even though I had seen it before, I was thinking like, okay, I could have guessed this. I'm sure I did the first time I watched it, not to give myself too much credit, but I was like, not like the most compelling episode, but I mean, season 1 is just so all about character building that like this is foundational stuff for getting to know Xander for sure.
Exactly. Like, this is foundational text about the characters. The plot was lackluster and cliche, but I love these buddies. I love seeing Willow start falling into her role. And, I hate to see Xander fall down this path, but this is who he is. And it's good that we know him,
It's really good that we know him. And I honestly loved this plot because it's so classic, like Monster of the Week. And it kind of, my favorite type of shows, and like, I mean, I love all aspects of Buffy, but I also love when they create new villains and kind of get us in on the science and the lore of why the villains exist and like what their deal is. So I really liked learning about just this like, oh, this new monster. Oh, she has to eat virgins and like is a big bug. Like, why? And I really like that. And I like the kind of ominous ending. It's very X-Files to end on kind of an not like an unresolved ending, like where the monster is still out there, where you just have like, oh, they didn't get everything. There's still some left, and it's showing the rest of the show like they're always going to have monsters to hunt and big bad to kill. And I like that this is just like one kind of drop in the bucket of the show. So
honestly, the hardest thing about watching this week's episode was not watching the next one immediately after.
I know.
So rating out of 5 steaks?
Yeah, 5 steaks.
I'm going to say 3. Like, it's exactly what you know and love. It's corny. It's shocking. 3 steaks out of 5.
Okay. I love it. It's so hard for me to rate it off the bat because I'm like, oh my God, we haven't watched Buffy in so long. It's been 2 years since we've been on the pod. So I'm just like, I mean, I feel so good coming back to this. So I'm going to give it 5 out of 5 just for the personal context that I'm in. Because I'm like, this really rejuvenated me and brought me back to life as if I was a vampire. So I'm going to give it 5 out of 5 steaks.
It's so good to be back. That's so true. The experience.
So this is my The Harvest.
But I don't love this episode. Like,
really?
I just think it's kind of a boring one, and super, super predictable. But
oh my God, that's what's so comforting to me about it is I'm like, oh, wrap me in your predictability and just like ambient jokes. I need it.
So Gab, what are you saying? Two steaks?
Yeah.
Can I do 2.75?
That's allowed.
We're going down to the 0.5 and no less.
Okay. Oh. I'm going 3 then.
Okay. Good. That's not what I thought. Nice.
Wait, what was it? Say it again.
3.
3.
3 out of 5
solid 3. Okay, love it. And also one of my favorite lessons from this episode was that homework is bad and you definitely should not do your homework because your teacher will kill you.
Okay, I bravely took the opposite message and that just goes to show.
Oh, no. Okay, explain yourself.
Well, Buffy uncovers the killer because she's like, I'm going to go do my homework, and then runs up the stairs. And then she's like, actually, where's the books about bugs?
Where's the books about?
I didn't even catch that. I did not know the books were gone.
And she reads about mantises, and that's how she knows the warning signs, like the 180-degree head spin, which could have been mistaken for just like a normal human thing if you hadn't done your homework.
Yeah,
I feel
exactly.
like this show
Everybody
is
would be like,
so pro homework overall.
oh my God, I got such homework is bad energy from this episode, but now I'm changing my mind. I think we have 2 ends of the spectrum here. And
they're little researchers, but they're really self-led,
They're self-led,
which is what
independent
research
study
is.
Yes.
Yeah, like we don't need the institution, especially
it's
when
like,
we're doing.
what is homework really?
Exactly.
Say that.
Homework is what you make of it, and so
Learning.
our Scooby Gang is making their own homework in the library.
Rock and roll.
Rock and roll.